Good evening. As you can see, slightly blocked by a large item. So this is going to be the focus for tonight's Facebook Live. Obviously, I'm not going to leave it there because it's quite hard to work with it in the way. But this is the old shoppy, have to put an extra PE on the end of it, kit that we launched on Hobby Maker just before Easter. It comes with the jars and everything. It is a monster size kit, okay? As you can see, it stands over 2 foot tall. So this is the version I did as an Apothecary. I'm going to move it in a second and show you the one I did with the terrariums on. But I just wanted to have it there so you can see the size. Let me just move it. It's quite sizable. Right, and I will need to take the jars off it in a minute. Right, mind me, Mike. Whoop, there we go. I'm going to turn it round down there so I can grab the jars. I'll move these. I did have to have it stood up so that you could see all the shelves. Hang on. So we didn't think of this when we designed the kit because it's giant. And here's the other one. Would show you the sweetie jar one, but the sweetie jars are empty. Don't know how that happened. So this is the terrarium version. So exact same kit, just decorated up in different ways so that you can see sort of the versatility of this kit. And it comes with these fabulous bonbon jars. Okay, I'll move that one out of the way as well. Oh, and I don't know, getting too old for that. Don't know if you saw on my post earlier, it is Marvin's 8th birthday today. Yes, still behaves like a 3-year-old, but he is 8. So as a special Marvin's birthday present, anybody who orders this week will get a little extra gift, surprise gift in their parcel from Marvin. It won't be a meaty chew, don't worry. It will be something crafty. So we are going to look at the Apothecary jars that I did on that. I'm not getting that back up again. I'll just bring the jars up. And we're going to make a couple of them this evening so that you can see, you know, how much fun you can have with a glass jar. So let me swap to, if I go to that one and then to there. So these are the jars. They are 15 centimetres high by 8 centimetres and they are glass and they have hermetic seals, which means they have that bit on there so they seal nicely. And my terrariums, one of the little, oh, here's the birthday boy. Marv, come here. Right, can you do this? Let me swap cameras, hang on. Can you get up here? Can you get up? Come on, up. Come on, up. Everybody wants to see you. It's your birthday. Up. No? Gone camera shy? You coming up? Come up. Come up. You can. People want to see you. Come on, get up. Right, let's do, hang on, we might have to do this camera. Marv, look at the camera. There he is. The birthday boy. Put your nose down there so everybody can see. Can everybody see? Hang on, if I go to that one. There you are. You're on telly. So Marvin says, good evening. Are you going back downstairs now? Thanks. Yeah, thanks. Can I do my Facebook Live now? Can I? Okay, right. Okay, it looks like he's going to be here. Right, so we're going to look at some of the different jars. Sorry for the interruption there. Right, let's have this. Are you helping? You going back downstairs? So let's line up some of the ones that I've done and I'll talk you through how I did them and then we'll make a couple. No, go and see if Daddy will do your tea. Right, the other two are fairly boring. So what we've got, so we're going to be looking at this one in the middle mainly. There's a little hint there because I did start doing one. This, but combined with this one because I thought I could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And then this one is ever so easy. That's just a big chunky bit of lace on it. He's coming back. And then this one, which I really like, this has got crackle glaze on it. So I just painted the jar with the crackle glaze. And then when the crackle glaze was dry, painted over the top with a white gesso. And when it was dry, I just inked it a little bit, sprayed it with a bit of coffee just to give it that sort of oldie worldy thing. When you're working with crackle glazes, doesn't matter what brand you're using, The important thing is to not overwork it, because the temptation is, as you're painting it on, inadvertently you start painting in the cracks, and actually then that means the paint mixes with the glaze and it stops working. So you just load your brush up and do one, right, my comments have gone. Marvin, what did you do? One straight swoop and let it crackle. But it's really weird until you've done it. It's hard to understand, but the temptation is to fill in the gaps because that's what you're expecting to do. Right, hang on. I don't think it was Marvin, but I'm just going to go to here so I can see comments because they seem to have disappeared off my laptop. I don't think it was related to Marvin. Everybody's saying happy birthday, mate. Yeah, he's so impressed. He's like, you know. Right, so he's just looking at me now. So that's crackle glaze. It's quite easy. You can use PVA glue as a crackle. Again, same rules apply, just don't overwork it. This one is, we're going to do a combination of this one and this one, okay, on a jar tonight. And then if we've got time, we'll do some aging up and everything. Okay, so first thing you need is a jar. And I think I am now going to swap to overhead. Expect a little ginger nose to come in any minute now. He's just looking at me. Right, so jar. So we're going to work with this one and a sort of combination of this one. But I've discovered a cheat. I know, shocking. I found a way of cheating at something. It's quite disconcerting when you've got a dog sniffing around your feet. So we all know about the double-sided adhesive sheet that I've been using. Well, I thought, hang on, can I use this in my mixed media projects like I normally do? Because I normally, and I apologise in advance to Sue and Eileen and Hazel and Sandra and Samantha and all the people I've made do these sorts of projects and wait for the glue to dry and things like that. I am apologising in advance, but I found a cheat. Okay. It won't work for, he's asleep now. It won't work for everything, but for this sort of project, it did, especially if you're trying to work in a hurry. Okay. I'm just going to move those out of the way for a second. So it's not in replace of normal glue. It is to complement. Okay. Oh, my comments back. Right. So normally I would smear the whole jar with glue and start sticking things on, and people will be told oodles of glue, loads of glue. And I thought, what if I used double-sided adhesive? Now, I'm not worried about it going on perfectly smooth on straight, because actually a few wrinkles aren't going to hurt. Get to sort of the end there, and then I just need to get this started. Obviously, because I'm sticking it onto glass, it's a little bit trickier to get it started. So this is why I've cut widthways, so I've got an overhang. Okay, start to pull it off your backing, fold it round so it overlaps, pull right off. So now my jar is completely sticky. No different to when I do it with glue, except I'm not going to have any drying time. You will still need a little bit of glue, but I managed to do one earlier in a hurry without having to wait for glue to dry. So I'm now just going to start filling in the sticky with some of my skeleton leaves. Now, if they overlap a little bit, obviously it's not going to stick down, but you could either go round and just apply a little bit of glue to those tiny bits, or let the paint that you're going to paint over it in a minute stick it down, because if you're using a gesso, that acts like a sticky anyway. And then just sort of fill in the vast majority of the gaps with your skeleton leaves. And you can, If you don't want to go around and glue them up, you can sort of cut bits off to go and fill in elsewhere. Okay, so I've got that, and now still a little bit sticky, and I could add, you know, more texture into there if I wanted to, cut up some more bits of leaves and fill in the gaps, or tear off some paper or anything. But it's just meaning I can get cracking and I don't have to keep waiting for glue to dry. So I apologise to anybody that's been to a mixed media workshop and I've made them do this all with glue. And I would never replace wet glue, but sometimes I'm not very patient. I know, shocking. Okay, so I've got my skeleton leaves all over that now. Not worried about the colour, not worried about the fact I can see through, because it's all going to get painted. It is all just about texture. Okay, so my skeleton leaves are on there. And this is where I really cheated. Not on this one is done with glue. But what was happening, and the reason I got frustrated with this one, you see my beads coming around here? They kept slipping while the glue was drying, even though I was doing my heat gun trick and all of that. And it was really starting to annoy me. And I'm not great at waiting and things like that. And because it's round, it was like, I had no position to put it in to let it dry. So when I was prepping for tonight, I thought, hang on, can I cheat and use an adhesive that's going to grab straight away and doesn't need drying time? So short and long of it is yes, you can. Right, I now need another piece of adhesive. Okay, and I'm going to put that in the middle there. I've not measured this or anything, I've just cut a bit. Okay, because I just want an area of sticky. Again, just help it get started. So now I've got a big sticky panel. Okay, I'm just going to put some sponges there so it can stay put. And I've got one of my plaster faces, skulls. Look, isn't that amazing? It's staying there. Honestly, I apologise. I'll be saying that quite a lot. Right, and then I have my wonderful bags of beads and bits and bobs like that. Now, obviously, I've got all this sticky round here. So as long as you press them in and they've got a surface that is touching, even though they're round, they're holding. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's going to be mega permanent for if you're throwing things around, but you can certainly get the vast majority of things in place using the double-sided adhesive sheet, and then you can always back it up with a bit of glue as well. But the double-sided adhesive is holding it there for you. So, you know, you could squeeze some glue in after you've arranged everything. They're round, they're sitting on a curved surface and they're staying put. Now, I'm going to carry on adding some beads and things, but in my Halloween stuff that I save, there's a skeleton. I've already pulled his head off because they look really good on the top of the jar up there, to make an extra bit of, a handle. So I'm just going to, do we want an arm? Oh, I think we do. Stick it. It's just staying there. Honestly. This was just, when you're sometimes feeling a little bit impatient. It's not even lazy because I've still got to stick everything on. It's just less frustrating. So if it was because it's going to be handled a lot. I mean, the idea of this is it's just a jar that's going to sit on the shelf. So this is more than adequate. But you could always back it up with some more adhesive that's going to set. But as I say, we're going to be painting this. We're going to put in gesso and stuff on. And you know that gesso can act like a glue as well. I haven't got all my little tiny beads here. But again, I would get my scoop and fill in the gaps with it. But you can see that I'm starting to get my design. Let's have a bit of string. Because I can. So I've still got, it's harder to see where your adhesive is, but look, there's some here. So look, I can curl that round and it's holding its shape. And, you know, anybody that has done workshops with me where we've been trying to, you know, get the string to do particular patterns and things, it is really hard. Right, there's no adhesive there, so I could just come in with another little bit, just because I do want a curly whirly bit on it. I'll have to put my scissors right in front of me. I only need a little bit. I'm going to regret doing this extra bit because I'm not going to be able to get the back off it. And I apologise for the white painty fingers, but I've been painting a crazy golf hole. That's not a craft project, that is a project for Paul, because he's finishing his crazy golf, which will be amazing. So watch out, I'll be putting it up on Facebook when he's finished it. We're a couple of weeks away from being finished, but when I can, I'm going to help him with the painting. So here we go. Come on. Knew I'd regret doing this. It's really hard when you can't see. Okay, come on. There's me all. I actually sometimes find with this adhesive is actually go right into the middle, because the adhesive stays behind and then the backing comes up and you can see. Just trying to get the edges sometimes is right. So look, I can twirl it. I can do exactly what I want with it, and it's not pinging out and I'm not having to sit and hold it. Look, it's stayed. Just go in and add all your texture, bits of lace. Obviously, if you're wanting to build something up on top of that, you would have to add a bit of adhesive, but the vast majority is there and staying. Honestly, game changer for me today. So I built up my texture, and then I have cheated a little bit. I have already painted up one just so that you didn't have to see me paint. But again, this is the fab thing, because we're using the adhesive it's top heavy now, that's not having to dry. I can go straight on and paint if I want to. So I have got some black here. I'm not going to do it all, but just to show that I can literally go straight on, no waiting for things to dry. That will take away some of the sticky as well, if there's any sticky remaining, and just get on with the project. So I definitely think as a backup, an additional support to your adhesives, it's just really, really handy. And I would never have thought of using it in this way. It just means that I can crack straight on. And the fact that it's holding that skull there. Okay, so all over you do your painting. Okay. Want a towel. Got a dog. Can't wipe my painty fingers on the dog, that's wrong. It's his birthday. So just get it all painted black, and in true Blue Peter style. Here's one I did earlier, and I did notice I missed a bit. Okay. Then, because they've got the skulls on, they are going to want to roll. So I'm going to use a Tim Holtz Distress ink. Right. Let's start making this. So obviously at the moment it's really flat black, which is nice. And again, you can see I've got all my beads, my skull, everything is on there. Let's start to glam this up a little bit. I'm going to put some paper underneath just because we're going to be spraying, and I might as well save that spray. Okay, so I've got a mica spray here just to get it starting. And the great thing with mica sprays is they look fab, but it's not until they dry that they look really fab. And this is a very subtle one. It's got a pinky colour to it. So I'm just getting a good base of that down. There's not much left in this bottle. Okay, and I'm wanting just that to sort of soak in and do its thing. Possibly sprayed my ink there as well. Now, while that's while that's doing its thing, I'm going to add in some more mica. So let's grab my little bags. I'm also going to bring those in, those, and a bit of green. So we all know now that mica needs moisture to activate its binding agent. So this is wet, so I can just literally sprinkle this on. And I'm being sort of really quite heavy-handed in places. Add another colour in. Anybody that's just turned into this is probably going to wonder why there's a skull sitting in the middle of the screen. Open up this one. So this is like sort of a goldy pearly colour. And so now I'm actually, as well as sprinkling it on, I'm sort of dabbing it in as well. Just to get it in where I want it. And then I'm going to come in with a bit of green. It's quite heavy at the moment, and I appreciate that I'm only doing the front, but I would repeat this on the back as well. Birthday boy's just left. I think he's gone very far. I haven't heard his little footsteps. It's very funny that he came up today. Right, so I'm going to come in with a bit of green. So some of this is just sort of sitting on the surface. Some of it you can see has been activated and is sort of moving around, and other is still very dusty. And I'm not being very delicate. I'm just daubing it on. Let's come in with a bit more of that red. So it's really quite thick in places. And obviously at this point, it's not all activated. It will be powdery in places. In fact, if I move that, just looking at my fingers, sorry, Deck. You see it's really quite heavy, and you might like it left like that, and you can leave it like that, but I think for me it's a little bit too heavy, and also not all of that mica has been activated. Certainly here I can see it's very powdery. I am going to swap off my ink pad there, because that's a good ink pad. It's now got mica, so I'll use that one. So I could just come in now with water and activate it and get it dancing and doing things like that with just water. But actually I've got a black ink spray here. So it's like a mica spray but has no mica in it. It's just ink. And being black, obviously it's going to interact with the mica. And it's going to reactivate the mica and make it move around, but not obliterate the mica. If I'd have used a black gesso spray, which I have made before, just by mixing gesso with water and putting it into a spray bottle so you can get into all the little nooks and crannies. But that is an opaqueness. So that means if I sprayed that over the mica, it would obliterate some of the mica. But because this is an ink spray, and if you don't have a black ink spray, don't rush out and buy one. Get your black soot or whatever your favourite dye-based ink is. ink up a sponge really, really generously with it, drop it into some warm water, give it a little shake and put that in a bottle, and that will be a black ink spray. It doesn't have to be very strong, it just needs to have a little bit more than just water to it. Now when I've sprayed that on, it's obviously activated the binding agent and activated the mica, so to speak, but it's given it an extra depth. So if we go to here, which is very, very green at the moment, and you can see all the texture of the leaves, and we spray that with the black, obviously it's muted it down, but if we continue to watch, and I think you can probably see, it all sort of seems to wiggle and jiggle, and that's the mica mixing in with the water in the ink spray. And as the ink sinks in, because it has a transparency to it, because if I sprayed that over book page, you'd still be able to read the words through it because it's transparent. It's just got a colour to it. So what's happening is the ink is adding a little bit of colour, but not taking away the sparkle of the mica. It's not muting it. It's not diminishing it. So as you've watched that, you see how the sparkle starts to come back, and the green. It's not changed the green. That's why I've gone for a black spray, ink spray. If I'd have gone with a blue ink spray or a pink one, it could have changed the colour of my mica, but I wanted something with depth, which black always gives with mica, but also is not going to interfere with the colour. And you just get these beautiful, I mean, look at the effect on this skull. So let's check the other side and see. I mean, it has had a bit of spray, but let's just give it another little spray. Just let it soak in and do its thing. You'll always soak into the to the skull. And the other thing to do when you're spraying on a surface like this is actually rotate the other way as well, so that you're spraying from all angles. Okay, not at yourself though. And then just let it, if you can, let it dry naturally. I don't know if I've plugged my heat gun in, hang on. Do all mica powders have a binding agent? Yes, all Stamps Away ones do, but no, not all mica powders have a binding agent in. Generally, the likes of Cosmic Shimmer and ones like that, yes, they will. The Ranger ones, Perfect Pearls, all of those have. When they don't have a binding agent in, is traditionally ones that are sold for resin work. Because with resin, the binding agent can actually impede the reaction of the resin. So if you've got a resin kit and you have mica powders in that, it won't have a binding agent in. You can buy binding agents. It's things like whatever that word is, gum arabic, and stuff like that is added to them to make them a binding agent. If it doesn't have a binding agent in, you can still mix it into embossing powder and stuff like that. You can also mix it in with maybe a wax and work with it like that, but it won't work with the water the same way. So if it's a craft one for this for mixed media, yes, but generally ones for resin work don't, and if you've got your craft ones and you're doing resin work, you will find that your resin will not set if you've used craft mica in it, because the binding agent inhibits the setting agent. Right, so this is starting to dry now, which is what we want, because we want to start adding some more layers. But just look at that. It is just amazing that's why that effort of putting the texture on, and I say effort, it's not exactly a massive effort when you're using the double-sided adhesive, but it just gets into all the little gaps and stuff like that. Okay, I'm going to give this a little dry, just checking this is. And I tend to try and avoid drying it because I love the way that the mica will naturally find its home. And it will sort of pool in places. It just settles, soaks in, and you get a much more interest if you can let it dry naturally. But obviously I don't have that luxury of letting it dry naturally. And we aren't alone, by the way. The little man's asleep at the front of the counter here. It's very odd because he doesn't normally come up. But look at the effects of that. And again, the reason we work on paper, look at that down there. Imagine that die cut or wrap round one of these jars. There we go. While I'm drying this, apologies, we had a little bit of chaos at the weekend. So we've obviously got some online workshops coming up. We've got stamping this Sunday. And we've also got another book binding in June, and we've got the Print with Nature in May. And like a good girl, I set all the groups up and did the invite to all those people that have signed up for it. And Facebook decided, in its infinite wisdom, to invite everybody to join the groups and pre-approve them. Now, the reason I didn't want that, it's not just the monetary thing, the fact that people have paid for it, it's the fact that I have these groups set up so that they are safe. They are a place of people with like minds that can enjoy each other's craft, support each other. I have a rule of no, there's no such thing as a silly question. But when it invites everybody, obviously you're going to have possibly people joining the group that aren't joining for the right reason. So what I had to do was delete the groups I'd set up. So apologies if anybody had joined those groups. Delete them and re-invite to a new one that's stitched up even more. Means you can't find it, so it's a bit harder. So if you have signed up for those workshops and you haven't yet found your invite, drop me a PM or an email. You should have had an email explaining this, and I will get you sorted out. Not also worried for the ones later on. I am worried about the people that have signed up for Sunday, because obviously Sunday is approaching fast. So just check your emails and then drop me a message if you think you should be in that group, and I will sort it out. Right, so this is dry enough now for me to work with. But just look at that. It's amazing, isn't it? From nothing to, I mean, you know, from that to that in very few stages. Right, I have got a bit of gilding wax here. So this is, gilding waxes have gone from being solvent based. They used to be solvent based. They used to be made from turpentine and stuff. But that came with all sorts of hairy, scary problems. Mainly making them was highly flammable. We also had issues with the fumes in them when you open the jar. Wasn't so bad when your jar was new, because the fumes sort of were contained. But when you had a half full jar, the gases were building up. So when you took the lid off, you got a bigger hit of it. And, you know, people were having breathing problems. You know, it was triggering asthma and stuff like that. So we moved to a water-based formula, which is nice and a little bit more forgiving, because the nice thing with the original ones was once you put it on, that was it, it was on. So, you know, you could put it on and it'd be quite hard wearing. But on the same note, if you put it on, it was on. So if you got it somewhere and you didn't want it, you couldn't really work it off. Whereas this you can. So you'll see I'm using my finger. You don't have to, but I just like the feel, to feel where I'm going. And also the warmth of your finger actually softens everything so that it'll move around a little bit more. Just adding a little bit more to there. Ooh, got a bit there. Let me go around the back where there's nothing at the moment, so you can really see that leaf there. See how it just picks up. So I'm using it on my finger, very flat on my finger, and just rubbing. So I'm not pressing it in, I'm more gliding across so that it just picks up the very edges. Okay, and if you have got a big lump like that, you can just continue to work it, or again, come in with your water spray or your ink spray, and that will actually move it around a bit as well, because you can water these down and make them into a paint. So it's a bit more forgiving. Okay, move that into there. Oh, off he goes. It's because it's front heavy. If I was working at home, I'd have it standing up. I wouldn't be doing it on the desk like that. Obviously, I need you to see what I'm doing. I'm going to come in with a silver now. And I'm going to break all the rules and stick my finger in that one as well. So just adding little hints. And I think I'm pretty happy with that. So other than the black painting, which I did do earlier and let it dry, although that one's drying up nicely, it's so much quicker this way. I'm not having to wait for things. So this is the fun bit. And I do love adding a bit of silver on top of gold. I used to be a bit anti silver gilding waxes and stuff because I thought they were a little bit flat. But actually, when you use them with gold and the copper, they just give a lovely look. So there you go. Let's come to that one. Move that out of the way. Isn't that good? So from, ignore the hairy bottom of this. This is coming in a minute. From that to that. So that is such a sort of amazing potion. I mean, I dread to think what potion that would have in it. Marvin says, yeah, the smell of the old waxes was lovely. It's like old shoe polish. But officially I shouldn't say that because it is solvent. But yes, you know, it's a very nostalgic smell, I think. But if you do like the traditional gilding waxes, if you can get hold of black shoe polish, or neutral if you can get it, I don't even think they do it anymore, and then you rub your finger in the shoe polish, then into the mica, and then onto the surface you're making your own in the old way. But yeah, it's in the grand scheme of things, it's better to have a water-based one. Also because it is forgiving, because you can activate it with water and, you know, redo it. Right, let's do another jar. Okay, again. Oh, I cut it up. Need another sheet. Oh dear, I'll have to open a packet. Another packet. Don't tell Paul. I'll knock it off my wages. Now, this is a pure coincidence that the width of the sheet fits around these jars perfectly. But you'll be pleased to know that I calculated it all properly when I was working out how much paper I needed to wrap round one of these. Because I was pre-cutting all my papers to wrap round one day. And I got my old maths out because I know the dimensions of the jar in terms of height and diameter. And of course, I'm remembering that pi r is the circumference of the circle. And it just happens that that's about 20, so 3/8 is 24. So yes, these are just the right width to go round the jar. Badly cut that. If only I had something to do, a straight edge. That'll do. Now, obviously, I am recycling a jar here that had something else on it, so yours won't be hairy. Hairy jars. Again, I'm not worried if it's going wrinkly. You can make it perfectly smooth if you want, but I'm all about the texture tonight. So just rubbing that down with a very, very mucky finger now. So, because it's glass, it's sometimes you need to just help it peel off that first corner. But once it's down, it's nicely down. Okay. And I do tend to work with the lids on unless I'm doing something different to the lid, just because it gives me a handle to hold it. Okay, so I am recycling this jar, so it's gone over some other stuff there. And let's get a nice crinkly up piece of paper. So this is the one that's got all the mica and stuff like that on. I'm really going to work that in. Again, you would need to back this up with a bit of glue if necessary. But by scrunching it up and then pressing it down while it's scrunched up, I'm ensuring I'm getting lots of nice texture there. Okay, I'm going to trim off any excess, or tear off is probably better. It's going to give you a smoother finish. Around the bottom I am going to trim. And then just make sure that it's firmly pressed down, because we're going to start. Now, we could go in with ink for this. Don't know what inks I've got here. Not many. Could go in with coffee. Or we could, again, go in with black. But I'm using the same sponge. So it's not got a huge amount on it. So it's leaving a little bit of white as well. I like that. Sort of giving it almost a marbled. It's actually not dissimilar to the crackle one. Let's just work that in. Kind of like that. Work that in a little bit more over this side because it's not as even. If you wanted to, you could bring that same spray in. Because, as I say, it's got the paint has got an opacity to it, but the ink has got a transparency to it. So you are getting a very different, watch your fingers, finish. Right, let's glam it up with some mica as well. And this is, I've not got a specific plan for this one. This is just, let's see where it goes. Again, let's just add some of this in. I'm going to do the whole jar. I know I can see it looks like I'm being ridiculously overly generous with the mica, but actually you know how much are in these bags. It's the same bags I use every week and they still don't seem to be going down. And also I'm not worrying about my cutting mat. I'm going to mop that up later. I've got loads of paper here because I need to make some labels. Okay, and I want the green as well. So it's going to match a little bit to this, but it's going to have a different texture to it. And I'm aware I haven't done the lid on this one, but I could just paint that black and work the same. Oh, possibly a bit much on there now, but we'll just pick up some from there, work that in. Don't get overly precious. Gonna break that up a little bit. Yeah, I think that green, I wasn't paying attention, but don't worry about the table. The table will wipe up with some paper in a minute. I'm saying that as much in case Paul's watching downstairs. Go, my cutting mat, my work surface. Right, there we go. And again, I'm going to come in with the black. Let's watch it dance. Let's go to that bit. Give it a second to soak in. See how it shimmers more. It's quite. Let's go to that. It's quite matte. Can you see it dancing? I know I can looking at it. So just make sure you work everywhere. This is giving me a sort of a dragon skin feel, especially this side here. I'm not sure. Remember what I said about rotate round. Okay, give that. Don't worry, I have a plan. Because here I have got loads of paper. Normally for mop up I would use clean water, but I just thought this might actually be quite nice. Don't dip your sleeve in it. Yeah, you can always watch back, and remember I get them all downloaded and uploaded to the old YouTube. Still looking, I keep saying this, I will investigate getting going out live on YouTube as well. I love that. So that's just the mop up. Let's get one more off there. See, that's going to be a nice label. Just put that safe for a minute. I thought I had a towel. 1 second. Got a dodgy bit of kitchen towel. And I've got my spray here. I normally have just a water spray. Is that water? Yeah. Just so that I'm not on a too messier area. Would normally use my little misters, but we're sold out. I think we might have 1 or 2 sets left. It is a very crumpled leather. Look, now this has dried a bit. Isn't it lovely? And I think I'd be tempted to leave that. I wouldn't go in with, would I go in with gilding wax? This is the trouble when you're doing something like this, and you're not got a clear idea of where you want it to go. It's sometimes you can go sort of a little bit wild and maybe overdo it. But actually you can't, because you can always paint over the top of it again and start again, or give it another spray to dilute it down a little bit. You saw the difference spraying that with the ink makes. But I love how the colours mix together. So that which was predominantly green, you see how the gold's come in? It has lost a bit of its wrinkle there because I sprayed it a bit much, but you just work it back in and crumple it. So, you know, you can really, really mess about with this. But I will just, let's just test a little bit. And normally I would say test in a sort of least dominant, least prominent area. But actually I'm going to go here in the middle, because I'm potentially going to put a label on here. So if I don't like this, I can put a label over the top. I'm pretty sure I was going to like it. It's bringing out those veins. Saying that, did anybody see the news article about the book they found in Suffolk? It would look amazing on a book cover. Elsbeth, you need to go and find out about the book that they found in Suffolk. It was in I think it was the museum's office, and they started investigating it because it looked old. I don't know if I should say what it's covered in, but we won't be doing it as a workshop, that's for sure. Fascinating though, absolutely fascinating story. But yeah, things like this on book covers is amazing. But I just love the fact that you can transform something, and we haven't used anything particularly glamorous over the top or anything. This is just paper and leaves, and and it wasn't even fresh paper. That was paper that we had scrumpled up that we were working on earlier. So I'm going to do a label now, if I've got space. So I'm bringing in our pharmacy stamps. Now you will get in the set for the oldie shoppy, you do get some labels, some printouts we put in. So you don't have to have stamps or anything, but I just think, I've got these stamps and I love them very much. Right. It's not quite dry, but Gonna give it a quick dry. Oh, and I found my magnet the other day. You know, I'd lost one of my magnets for my stamping press. Yeah, it was stuck to the bottom of my pencil tin. I knew it'd turn up. Couldn't see how I'd lost a magnet. Right. Haven't decided if I am going to use this paper, but let's stamp it up and see. Again, it's a piece of paper. Right. Scissors. Just going to take that off. Just sometimes a thickness of a piece of paper does make a difference, but I want that sort of really nice crumply bit in the middle there. So I'm going to put that there. Close that down, pick that up, and then under here, what have I got? Plum. Pine cone. We'll go with pine cone. No, we won't, because my pine cone, oh, maybe. My pine cone may have been overused. There we go. And press down. If it's not dark enough, I'll come in with the archival over the top. That's a bit too pale. Kind of nice though, because I don't know, is it too pale, or has that got that weathered age? It's sat out on the shelf for too long. Do you know what? I'm going to swip my paper around and do one in plum and then decide. Because that's what you can do. Nobody says you can't change your mind. There's always room for changing your mind. And if you don't like it, just do another one. It's not supposed to be stressful, it's supposed to be enjoyable. I can't decide now. Right, let me cut them out and then I'll decide. So I'm just going to quickly swig a bit of drink. Cold peppermint tea. Nice. Right. So let's trim them down. Finished with you for a minute. Oh, and somebody remind me to show you the photographs in a minute. Oh, and I've just seen... Oh, do I want a bit of gilding flake? I don't know, I haven't decided yet. So the first jar was a little bit more planned, shall we say. I'd, prepped and everything. This one was, let's just see where we go. So, one label. Kind of, now I've cut it out, I actually think I prefer that one even more. 2 labels. So even if I don't use, whichever one doesn't get used today will get used for something. I just think that one's looking a lot older and more in keeping with what I was sort of aiming for, she says, with no plan in her head. Yeah, but I think it's too tidy around the edge there. So let's just scruffy it up a little bit. And because we've done sort of a mop-up sheet, it's quite mucky anyway. I don't think I need to add any more staining to the corners. But obviously, as it's an old label, the back is a little bit clean. What have I got to mucky it up with? My fingers. There's my spray of water. So it's just adding a little bit of muck. And then while it's damp, give that corner a little bit more attention, a little bit of curling, because an old jar, the labels would be peeling off, and also that's why I'm going to mucky it up a little bit more, because that's why it's not sticking, because the muck and the dust got behind it. So this is why we don't clean our cutting mats perfectly. Just add a little bit there, just there we go. I think that's nicely aged. That jar's still a bit damp. It's almost like I sprayed it with loads. So let me just, so this is where we're aiming for. So I'm only going to dry this little bit so that we can put this label on. Okay, so leaving that corner so it's peeling off, and I'm going to put it on with a bit of double-sided adhesive so it's like a real label. This is just an offcut, and this is what I was saying the other day. I save the offcuts because they are handy for things like this. So here I've cut, I'm sorry, I was off camera there. I've cut this a bit too long, and I would be tempted to actually stick that back on a piece of backing, because sometimes you just need teeny tiny bits. But maybe not this time, because I'll show you, because my fingers are so dirty. That's absolutely filthy now. But, you know, in principle, if you weren't so filthy like me. Okay. And I haven't taken it right to the edge so that I can still got that option to roughy it up. There's the bit I dried. There. Smooth it down. Except those corners, so it's got that idea that the label is peeling off. Is still a little bit damp, obviously, so just give the, if it's not sticking because it's damp, just go back in half an hour and just press it down, and there you've got your jar. And again, this is the sort of one I would add some twine around the top. I always think that gives such a lovely antique-y look. Just wrapping it around the top there and around the bottom. Again, if you do it before you do all your paint and stuff, that would absorb all the colour and be fabulous in that way. But it's just so much fun. You can get totally and utterly lost in things like this. And I love anything Apothecary and that sort of oldie worldy feel. If anybody was watching Marge and Keith on Channel 4 yesterday with their chapel they're doing up, their drawer unit they had in their bedroom, big time envious. So yeah, that needs to just dry and that'll stick down. So there's the jars we've done tonight. Let's put them on the side camera so you can all see close up. Actually, I'm really pleased I went with the more faded one. There's the other one. You know, I think the faded one's definitely got a more aged look. So just a lot of fun, but it all starts with the texture. And when you're looking at texture, only look at texture. Don't worry about the colour, don't worry about anything, because we can change colour easy enough. It's just the texture. It's like this little bead here that's got roses and stuff on. I knew I wanted to have that, but I'm loving using the double-sided adhesive to get things on. Right. Let's go here. So I said about photos. I had a very, very lovely little parcel come through the post this week from a lovely lady called Leslie, who, actually I'm going to go to this, no, I'm going to go to this camera so you can see, who sent me these beautiful old photos to work with. And what I love about these is the fact that there are duplicates. It's so unusual in old photos. She knows that they were relatives, distant relatives, but she actually has no idea who they are. But they are just amazing. And look at these ones. So I'm thinking of making these into journals. I mean, look at that. So that's got to be a cover of a book so that you can enjoy both front and back of it. I just think it's so sad that these sort of things don't get passed on and, you know, get lost. We all know that I've got the big bag of stuff that was saved from landfill. So yeah, these are beautiful. Such a fabulous gift to receive. Just USA Studios. I mean, that's a book in itself. So watch this space. I will be using these, but I just wanted to say thank you to Leslie because they are brilliant. I absolutely love them. So quick, let's go to that one and go to there. So quick recap. The shop unit is now on the website. Possibly doesn't have an image because Paul's been busy today. But what he's been busy with, you'll have to wait and see. But good news, we're sorted for advent calendars this year. Nod, nod, wink, wink, and all of that. I know it's only April. So yes, the shop unit's on there now. Anybody that's signed up for this weekend's stamping workshop on Sunday, message me if you haven't got into the group, and I will sort that. Still trying to sign up for those that haven't signed up for it yet. Anybody that orders between now and Sunday night, Marvin will put a little gift in. He's still asleep down there. I can just see a paw. And I think that's all the news. Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward week. So I will be back here at 7 o'clock next Wednesday. Yeah, don't think anything. Yeah, bookbinding, stamping workshop on Sunday. Yeah, so we will see you on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Hopefully I'll have something exciting to show. We will see. Yeah, it is sad that she just knows their relatives, but they are very, very old. So we're talking great aunts and things like that. But yeah, I just think that they're fabulous. So I will see you next Wednesday. In the meantime, Marvin says thank you for all his birthday messages. And somebody needs to remind him he is 8 now. But in the meantime, have a fabulous rest of this week. And I will see you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Take care.